Hello, welcome to the Half Baked Podcast. I'm Blake.
I'm Maddie, and this is episode 6. This week I decided to do this topic that's been bouncing around my head for a few weeks. And it, unfortunately, after I started researching, wasn't able to be exactly what I envisioned. But I still think it's a little bit fun. We're basically
Yeah,
analyzing why people pick the losing team in YA literature and movies. So we're just going to dive in, chat a little bit about it, maybe learn some things that you didn't know, and then ultimately discuss if we can see the other POV or if we're still solidly on our respective teams, which FYI is all of the winning teams, I'm assuming,
yeah.
at
Team
least.
Edward, Team Conrad, and Team PETA. Friends to lovers versus fated mates, and why the girlies love an underdog.
Yes, thank you. Basically, the idea stemmed from I wanted it. This was at the height of Team Jeremiah coping before the finale. So that's when I had this idea. Just I'm setting the mood for everyone, and so I wanted to kind of like research and see if I could find any interesting studies or anything on why people pick the loser. Like, and I don't mean that necessarily in a mean way, although we'll get into it. I do mean that I think that Jacob doesn't get a pass. I think that Gale gets a pass. I think that you read the first book of any of these series and you kind of know, I don't know, like I feel like you always know which team is going to win and there's always a
Yeah,
clearly underdog team that like did
true.
anyone actually wait for Breaking Dawn to come out and think that at the end of Breaking Dawn she was going to be with Jacob? Like
Maybe,
genuinely? I mean, and that's fine. I'm not like,
maybe
you
I
know,
did. I don't remember,
reveal yourself.
but that
So
could be true that I did.
it's just like I was just never worried about that with any of this. I was team Edward.
I was on
I
the right
was
team at
team
least.
Yeah, I was on team PETA. I am not team Jeremiah, as everyone damn well knows. So I just wanted to see if, and I was not unfortunately able to find any super cool stuff, but we're still going to talk about it a little bit. With that being said, I still think we'll have a good time. It's still
Yeah,
it's still a little bit interesting, hopefully. And I mean, I made this PowerPoint so that
it's beautiful.
basically, if you don't read like a lot of smutty books or, go to art school or I don't know, I kind of feel like everyone, unless you're a victim of the literacy crisis, you probably know what archetypes and tropes and all of that kind of stuff is. But book talk I feel like definitely made everyone aware of like certain tropes. Anyway, if you don't know, a trope is basically a significant recurrent theme or a motif, and an archetype is a synonym. Basically, it's the same thing. But typically I personally would use archetype just to describe a character or person, and a trope to describe like a more genre story technique.
Okay.
So there's like a million different tropes that and archetypes that writers play around in when creating stories. But we're gonna mostly stick with the romance ones, which you can see a few in the bingo there. Some of my personal favorites are when there's only one bed.
What is one bed?
It's when like there's a situation. Okay, so say you have the slow burn couple in the romance and they're not together yet, but like there's chemistry. And then something happens and they have to go to an inn and the inn only has one room and when they take the room there's only one bed, so they have to share the
Oh,
bed. So that's like it's like, you know what I'm
oh
saying?
my
So
God.
like one bed. So there's a lot of different tropes, a lot of them, and they're fun, they're silly, especially romance ones to me.
I've seen a lot of these.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was like, I feel like everyone knows what these are, but they might not know that they know what they are, you know? Okay, so like I said, there's obviously a bazillion of these, but we're gonna stick with mostly romance ones. And in all three of the series that we're covering, which I guess I didn't say, but I didn't think that it really needed an introduction, because surely everyone that would ever watch one of our videos has seen the Hunger
True?
Games. They know about Twilight and I mean, and the summer. So, Team Edward versus Team Jacob, and Team PETA versus Team Gale, and then, of course, which is what has been covered very thoroughly on our channel, Team Conrad versus Team Jeremiah, or Bonrads versus the Jellyfishers. But
Yes.
I kind of decided to put them into two separate tropes to make it a little bit more organized, but they could obviously be they could fall into other ones too. Obviously, The Summer I Turned Pretty is definitely way more like a brother triangle than
Yeah.
a Fated Mates because it's not a fantasy. It's obviously an outlier. Well, not that The Hunger Games is a fantasy, but you know what I mean. The Summer I Turned
Yeah.
Pretty is a very contemporary outlier. But
True.
just to make it easier, for the sake of my presentation, we're calling it Fated Mates. In all three of these series, we see the fandom split right down the middle over the similar archetype, and it's usually between the love of the female character's life, the person she ends up picking, and then the female main character's best friend who wants to win them over. And all of these have that. They're kind of in different ways, but it's still kind of the same thing. Okay, so yeah, I mean, yeah, I already said the thing where in The Summer I Turned Pretty, it's definitely like a brother triangle, not as much Fated Mates, but I do think that The Summer I Turned Pretty has enough like kind of invisible strings, like
Yeah.
soulmate vibe kind of thing that it does still work in that. It's just, whatever.
And they grew up together, so it is kind of faded.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and because still, I think that the finale still did make it to where they were fate. Like, I don't know. It just,
The
I don't know.
finale, because we have to
Yes.
wait for our movie.
I had forgotten about it for a second, and now I'm pissed off. Like I said, fated mates trope, it kind of is self-explanatory, but two characters are destined to be together by fate, a lot of times a prophecy or some kind of like supernatural bond, like imprinting, that kind of thing. And, you know, best friend, that explains itself. They're the main character's best friend. And again, if you want to be really picky, technically, Team Jacob could be the trope that is more childhood friend reunited instead of just best
True.
friends. But whatever.
It falls
So
into
we're
a
gonna go to
lot.
the next slide.
Okay.
And I'm assuming that, again, everyone that is in our age range would already be familiar with all of these people. But if not, we're going to talk about the boys for a minute. And for the sake of objectivity, I'm going to try and keep these initial discussions light and not have any vitriol yet. Because there's a lot of negative things about these characters that I hate, but I'm trying to be fair to the other side because I do want to try to see their perspective and understand where they're coming from.
I love Jacob.
So, Jacob Black, Bella refers to him as her own personal son. They were friends when she was little, but I think this is kind of funny because as far as I remember in the book, she absolutely doesn't remember him, like, at all.
Yeah, she
Like, when.
doesn't.
And that's really confusing because he's 2 years younger than her. So I'm like, okay, but whatever. It's fine. It's fine. He's, one of the first people she meets when she comes to Forks. He's there and she's super excited. She's like, oh, I'll have, somebody at school that I know at least. And then, of course, she
Yeah.
finds out that he goes to school on the reservation, so he won't be at school. But, he's just like a sweet, goofy kid. Because again, gets pushed to the wayside, I feel like, in the movies. But Jacob is 14 when Bella's 16. They're 2 years apart. So, like, when he first started having a crush on her, he was literally 14 years old, and
Yeah.
by the end of it, when she's 19, like, it's just crazy.
He's a
It just
kid.
adds another strange layer to the story. Like, and we did that for what? He couldn't have been 16 also.
True.
When Edward leaves Bella, she obviously, as we all know, falls into a very deep depression. She's basically comatose. And in that time, she's really pushing herself away from everyone. And when she ends up going to him, he takes really good care of her. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, before his wolf transformation, she's very, very vulnerable, and he clearly has a huge amount of care for her. Like, I don't think this was in the movies, but in the books, for her birthday, they the Cullens install a stereo in her car, and after they leave, at some point, she claws it out with her hands because
Oh my
it
God, I
reminds
forgot
her of
about
them,
that.
and I guess listening to music in general reminds her of them. Yeah, she does that, and so because of that, he notices that whenever they're in her car, obviously she doesn't listen to any music. And so he purposely doesn't play music for her in the car when I can't, because in the books he had a whole side quest where he had a car that he was building too, and like they did
Yeah.
more stuff together in the book.
He was like a mechanic guy.
Yeah, exactly. Like obviously in the movie he does the bikes, but I'm pretty sure the whole reason that Bella thinks to do that is because obviously he did her car,
Yeah, it is.
and because he had told her that, oh, like next now we're working on, it was a Volkswagen Rabbit. I remember. I don't remember the year, but I did study that for trivia last year, and then we lost.
Slay.
Yeah. So, he notices he's like very caring of her. Okay, Edward just basically up and left her over nothing. No, won't even like, didn't even leave me with any pictures, nothing. And then this guy comes and he's being really, really sweet and really gentle and noticing, I can see why at that point in the story you would be like, this is the dude that I want her to be with, not Edward, even though,
Yeah.
So he fixes up the motorcycles, like I said. And of course, he kind of gets a little bit douchey after he has his werewolf transformation. He starts to be a little bit more mean. But then after a little bit, he starts to be nice again for the most
I
part.
think Bella was evil to him.
She, look, okay, this isn't about them. But all of the female main characters here that we're talking about kind of cause
True.
their own issues, except Miss Katniss, we're gonna cut her some slack because she was
No,
literally
Katniss
in
did
a
nothing
war.
wrong.
She was in a war. She did not need to be. We'll get into it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, no.
It's kind
She
of, it's, to be honest, it's pretty diabolical to talk about these three topics together. I don't know what I was thinking. Like, they're all, like, it's pretty crazy. It was pretty hard for me to build a through line, and I did my best, and I don't know, I feel like it might be falling apart. Okay, we can finally move past him and
Yeah, move past fucking Jacob.
go to Gale. So, Gale kind of has a similar space in his story. He's not a childhood friend because they meet when Katniss is 14 and he's 16, which I'm just now realizing is also Jacob and Bella.
Connection.
I know, right? Um, they're hunting they're poaching basically on the capital land and meet each other. They kind of become hunting partners and then eventually become actually friends. And really pretty much like family, like they help each other's families out, with food, with whatever they need. When Katniss wins the games, she helps out his mom a lot secretly because Gale hates it when she does it, but by giving her money and food and game and stuff like that. Like they have a really, really close, more familial bond, in my opinion.
Yeah, true.
But I can still see like, although like this one is also this ship, I guess, or pairing or whatever, is also kind of different than the others because he's also like not before she goes to the games, she had never had any inclination that he like thought of her romantically in any way. And like we do know that Katniss is kind of stupid and doesn't notice a lot of things and like is not a reliable narrator at all. But there is a part in the book that I have right here and based about 6 months, 6 or 7 months before her first Hunger Games is when he realized that he kind of was crushing on her. But so it wasn't kind of as deep seated, I feel. I don't know. Because, like, when you read the first book, I don't really think that you read the first book and you're like, huh, I wonder if she's going to get with Gale. Like, you barely know him, Most of
Yeah,
it's taking
true.
place in the arena. But just for the record, that's when he claims that he started. Because we do, on the morning of the reaping, Katniss is startled when he mentions something about, maybe I would have kids. I would get married and have kids if we didn't live here. And Katniss is like, what? Why would he be talking about this? And she is oblivious, so like he could have been dropping hints before that. But anyway, he was super rebellious and anti-capital even before the Hunger Games happened. And Katniss would even be like shocked by things that he said when they were off in the woods on their little hunts. He like she never really understood what the point was in ranting and raving about it when there's nothing you could do anyway. So she's like, you're just coming out here screaming all of this stupid shit that could literally get us killed because it's so
Yeah.
crazy. But, I can see whatever. We're not getting into my opinion yet. That's Gale. Okay, he took care of her family when she was away at the games. They have a really special close bond that sort of started to become romantic, but didn't have time to become romantic before she was traumatized in the Hunger Games. And he was always super rebellious even before, more so than Katniss even. So we're gonna go to the next slide. For all of these, we're going off of book canon exclusively, except The Summer I Turned Pretty, where we are going off of a mix of show and book canon because the show had so much stuff that didn't happen in the books. And I mean, they really
Yeah.
depart and have a lot of different things going on. So I
And
only
I've
thought that
seen
was
that.
fair. Because I feel like with the other ones, with the Hunger Games and with the Twilight books, there's more story in the book. That's why I have to go off of the book. But with The Summer I Turned Pretty, there's actually more in the show. So just so everyone knows, because I am going off of the show for this list about Jared, not because I
Yeah.
do think in the book their best friendship was set up a little bit better in the show. As far as I remember, we only see him like being his mom like makes him stay home with her, and so he does, and she's like, and he stayed with me all night, and it's like,
After being forced.
yeah. So I don't know. But on the show's word, that's her best friend, I guess. And he did bring her a lot of joy and acceptance over the years. It does appear that, he did that. It's about the best that I can come up with. As for why people picked him, I really didn't understand. But yeah, like with Conrad denying his feelings for her, I understand why she might have seen it also as the easiest way to keep a connection with Susanna, because I feel like
True.
at that exact moment when they had just almost lost the house and all of that stuff was happening, I do feel like it was like, okay, Conrad is not helping me make things work, and Jeremiah is making it really, he's like there and like ready to just commit to me, and that
Yeah,
would be a way that I'm staying connected to them
true.
too. Like, I'm not saying that's the main thing, but I think that that played into it too. So yeah, I'm gonna keep it short because I'm already talking shit on him and we're not even at that part. All of these characters, I tried to discuss that they do have good characteristics, and I can see sometimes how at the beginning of the series you would be like, no, this is the better option. Like at the first half-ish of season 2, I feel like you could be Team Jelly because that was looking better, but then by the end I don't really see how you could be
Yeah.
there, but it's not,
I don't.
I don't either. But anyway, I can see why when the series wasn't completed, some of these people would want to hop on these different teams. But it does interest me more that so many girls stayed in the ship even after it becomes like blaringly obvious that like, did anyone think when they read Eclipse? I mean, I guess I already asked this question, but like, you really read all the way through to the end of Eclipse when Bella and Edward literally get engaged and you're like, I'm still
Yeah.
Team Jacob, like, or do you just like do it? I mean, I guess I'm just obsessed with being right. So like I once it looks like this isn't going to work out, I would not be on that team anymore. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I tried to come up with a few reasons that it might be.
Well,
So, the first is that I think that the team that you found yourself on was usually a mirror of your own personal tastes and wants, like Edward was kind of the bad guy, bad boy, and Jacob's like the sweet best friend. Like if you were the person that like wishes that you had the sweet best friend storyline, then maybe, you're then choosing that because that's what you want for yourself. And I think that
true.
probably happens a lot. Like you're not picking it like who the best person for Belly is. You're imagining that you're Belly or that you're
Yeah.
Bella or that you're Katniss and
And that's the point, I think.
yeah. So that's probably a big reason why people stay on these teams, even when it becomes clear that their ship isn't going to be the one that stands the test of time. But there is an important clause that has to be considered, and I'm personally calling it the Taylor Lautner clause, but I guess it could apply to many. And that's basically that you pick who you personally think is more hot, and then you go down with that ship, even if there's absolutely no way it's ever going to happen. And I think that this accounts for a huge amount of why people pick teams, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I
Definitely.
don't see how you could be a fan of Jeremiah unless you think that he's really hot. Personally, I don't think he's hot,
I don't think he
but I know
looks.
that a lot of people do.
Yeah. So, and I definitely see Gale.
Yeah,
He's definitely hotter to me.
yeah. But I'm always like, I don't know if I'm just like a hopeless, romantic, dedicated to the plot type of girl, but it never that never would have swayed me because I don't really think that Robert Pattinson is that hot as Edward, but
I don't either.
I was never Team Jacob though just because he was hot. Like
I was a little bit.
I guess I'm just looks don't matter to me. And also the picture of Taylor Swift is just because
It's my favorite picture of her of all time.
she's literally never looked better. Well,
She,
probably she's just constantly upping the bar. Yeah, I just felt like I didn't like the amount of testosterone that was going on, and and also I
yeah, we
thought that it
needed
was
that.
funny to have the two Taylors there, and it made it balanced. Just a little palate cleanser. So in the next slide is when I tried to get into some psychology. It's not real psychology, it's just things that I made up in my head with absolutely no factual evidence. So, the loser in these situations is usually the one that's more open and emotionally available. That's kind of something that we're seeing as a common motif throughout all of these.
Yeah,
Like, I think a lot of the girls are genuinely drawn to the friends to lovers idea and the notion that, like, the sweet, safe, and easy option is the best one for them. Like in the real world, they're probably right. Like to be honest,
I mean, that's what they're told to do.
yeah, it pains me to say it, but I mean, yeah, she probably should have picked Jacob. But the thing is that when I'm reading, it's not the real world.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly,
You know?
exactly.
So like I don't play by that because it's like, okay, yes, if I was Bella in real life, it would probably be better to pick the person that's human.
I would have picked Edward because
Yeah.
I want to be a vampire.
Yeah, exactly. Immortality, darling.
Well, I don't want that.
Well, you could vampires kill themselves. Well, they need help with it, but it can happen. Yeah. Also, I kind of it sort of fits, sort of doesn't. I don't know. Like I said, I was kind of throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what sticks. The loser also sort of represents like their before and then their after transformation. Like Bella and Edward became completely in game after she literally became a vampire. But then we also have like Belly needing to go to Paris and be reborn in order to
True.
be able to finally pursue things with Conrad. And Katniss had to kind of like backwards, like regress back to her true self after having to be the Mockingjay and, you know, literally be a teenager during a war, a civil war.
Yeah.
So yeah, her Katniss's transformation from being the Mockingjay to being herself again and, you know, being in peace is kind of what pulled her away from Gale as well. So I kind of felt like they all sort of did have like a little bit of a transformation to each. And with Belly, obviously she went to Paris in order to find her way back to Conrad, but marrying Jeremiah like theoretically would have been easy. And if Conrad never came around like he had planned to, like he didn't plan to see her ever, then I think that she would have been able to like have a reasonably happy
Yeah.
life. If they hadn't spent time together so closely right before the wedding, I do think that there's a giant chance that she would have ended up just marrying Jeremiah. And like I don't think she would have necessarily been extremely miserable. I think that they probably could have worked out an
Yeah.
okay life for themselves. But instead, she had to leave Jer and find herself in Paris, and then she was able to be, you know, transformed away from picking the easy option into picking the more difficult but like more fulfilling
True.
option.
Yeah. They have to experience lots of growth.
Yeah, exactly. And it's usually is, you know, like you're picking the person that is more difficult to be with, sort of. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? When it would be, it's more difficult to be with a vampire. It's more difficult to be with Conrad, who needed a lot of therapy before
Yeah.
he could easily be in a long term relationship. But it was through analyzing all of this that I realized that, like, the Hunger Games really doesn't fit in with the, not just because the Hunger Games is obviously not focused on just the romance, but also because Peeta is built different. So when we break down his characteristics, he actually has like the characteristics of the losing team. You know what I mean? Like he's not the brooding bad boy like Edward is, because that's Gale. Gale is the brooding,
Yeah.
rebellious. Peeta's also not like I said, rebellious or revolutionary. Gale is. He's patient, sweet, and kind with Katniss, and he gives her full autonomy to make her own choice with him, and goes out of his way to meet her where she is emotionally every single time, which is unfortunately kind of the characteristics for the losing team
Yeah,
usually.
but I love that.
No, I do. That's what I'm saying. He flips the script on us.
Good.
Katniss cannot even define the relationship with him, but begs her to stay with him when she falls asleep at night. And on the train, they sleep in each other's arms as they approach the second games, like literally because she has nightmares and it helps when he's there when she has nightmares. She won't even define the relationship and he's doing all of this for her. She's like, I wake you up 100 times a night with my nightmares. Why don't you ever wake me up when you have nightmares? And he says, oh, well, my nightmares are always about losing you. So once I wake up and you're there, it's fine. And they still aren't DTRing. Like, well, I mean, obviously they literally are engaged, but that's fake. So that doesn't count. It's crazy. So he has all of the boy next door characteristics, but he's the
Yeah.
winning guy. Like, I don't know. He's also pretty much the only one that's not toxic. Like, you know, I love Team
Yeah.
Conrad. I love being on Team Edward. Those are still toxic men. Like, they've made some mistakes. Peeta's, like, never done anything before hijacking, and that doesn't count. That's not his fault. Obviously, when he almost strangled her to death and
Oh,
stuff,
yeah.
that doesn't count as being
Yeah.
toxic.
No.
And like I was trying to think of the things that he did that were, like bad. And the only things I can really think of is like when he would keep things from her, like for the interviews for the Hunger Games, like when he revealed that he had a crush on her and she didn't know, and when he did the if it wasn't for the baby huge thing in Catching Fire, like she wasn't told before, but she didn't care about the second one. The first one she cared a little bit, but if he would have told her, she would like it's fine. Like he's so untoxic. And oh, sorry, the other bad thing that he did is that when they first get back from the games, aka, after they both just get back from probably the most traumatizing. I'm laughing because it's so crazy. Like the most traumatizing experience that could possibly happen to you. And all this time, he actually has a crush on Katniss and actually thinks all of this has been real and that she's actually coming around to like loving him and kissing him. And he's had a crush on her for like 100 years. And they're on the train on the way back and she's like, whoa, what are you talking about? I was just doing that for the
That's
cameras.
so horrible.
And so he is a little cold to her after that. But
Well, rightfully so.
can you, like, I'm not saying that Katniss is in the wrong because the Hunger Games has
Yeah.
100,000 more layers of nuance and, like, than any of the other series.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that it's Katniss's fault, but it's kind of crazy. So, like, again, I don't think that makes him, like, toxic that he was kind of giving her the cold shoulder. Because, like, oh my God, he's like, I finally got the girl and I thought that I was gonna die. I thought I was
Literally.
gonna die. And instead, I'm alive and I have a girlfriend. And meanwhile, she's
Yeah.
like, whoa, what are you talking about? So now we can move on for a moment to the in-game ships again, in case anyone is somehow not aware of these, and kind of talk about if there was ever really any way that, in my opinion, they were ever going to end up with other people. And for Team Edward, I obviously say no. I
I
literally
agree.
have no idea how you could even just read through New Moon. You get to the end of New Moon when Edward's back. I don't see how you could read that and be like, she might still end up with Jacob. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. First of all, Bella was fucking obsessed. Like, we all know that it's, like, to a degree that's extremely unhealthy. But
Yeah.
like she is. Like she's obsessed with him. She literally like she talk in the book she's like his sweet breath. Like she's even obsessed with how his
Yeah.
breath smells. Like this
Yeah.
girl was astronomically down bad. It was never like I'm sorry, Jacob, it's never going to be you. Like you do not understand how she was willing to die
Yeah.
for
It's way
him.
deeper for her than any of the other characters
Yeah.
in the series.
Yeah. There was just like no way. And I also think, even though it's not like technically canon, I still think they have like a soulmate vibe going on. Like
I agree. It's
it's
not canon.
well, like that. I don't think that it's like in the way of in like a fantasy book.
Mm,
There's like literal soulmate where like they have like magic like to prove
yeah.
it like different bonds and crazy stuff. That's not like something that's canon in these books, but I
I
think that
see.
just the fact alone that he can read minds and she's the only person that he can't
Yeah,
makes
that's
it
like soulmate-ish.
yeah, it literally somebody I saw a TikTok about this when we were in the Twilight Renaissance really heavily when Midnight Sun came out and stuff that said that the honeymoon must have been so relaxing for Edward because they were on a private island and so for the first time probably in like decades he couldn't hear anything except his
True.
own brain.
I never thought of that.
I didn't either. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, that's so
Wow.
true. No wonder he was, well, first of all, he was relaxed because he just had sex for the first time at the age of 118 or 17, whatever.
My God.
Yeah. So, but also because it's supposed to be like a super, super remote private island. So,
Yeah.
and he
I
can't hear
get, yeah.
Bella's thoughts. So he was only hearing his own thoughts. Pretty crazy. So I don't really think that this ship was ever gonna not happen. I don't
Yeah.
understand how you ever could. However, if you just stayed on Team Jacob on the principle, that's fine. I get it. I just personally, if it was me, I would have jumped ship because I like to be on the winning team. And once I see who's gonna win, that's why I guess that's maybe it's I'm just maybe I that's something I need to seek help about.
Yeah, maybe.
So now we can go to Katniss and Peeta, who I have to be more fair about because I do think that it probably wasn't extremely obvious who she would end up with. Also because like it's not a romance
Yeah, it's not
book.
really
It's
about.
not really about that. Like
Yeah.
because of the time that it came out, it had Team Gale and Team Peeta because it was like on the tails of Twilight. Like
Yeah.
that was just like a thing that teen girls did in the books that they were reading, but it definitely does not fit the mold pretty much at all, especially
No.
compared to the other two. Like, I mean, when you're reading the books, you don't even really know if they're going to be alive. Like,
Yeah, literally.
it's actually kind of amazing that all three of them don't
Yeah, I thought
die.
one of them would die.
Everyone else did. So, I can see how you'd be like, I don't really know. Because you're also not going into the movies. Like, that's not the main plot. That's like a, you know, there are bigger things going on.
Much bigger.
Okay, I have a related tangent that might be a little bit too much, but anyway, it wasn't clear if any of them would survive the war, and I also think that people say it wasn't very obvious from the beginning because Katniss does do the whole like, wait, I was pretending, you were being for real this whole time. I thought you were
Yeah,
acting too. Oh my God. Like, no, Katniss does have a fucking crush on him. Like, and I will not have people erase that. She just is a very unreliable narrator and emotionally stunted.
true.
Like, it's so bad. So,
She just didn't know what was happening to her.
yeah. So on the related tangent, the PETA haters hate PETA haters. It's like Trisha PETA. The PETA haters love to imply that PETA like basically guilted Katniss into finally giving in and being with him, which is crazy because that's literally what Gale's tactic is. But whatever. I disagree. In the books, especially, a lot of these movie moments don't make it into the movies, unfortunately. But in the books, Katniss definitely is in love with him too, but she just doesn't. She's too traumatized to fully realize that. That's okay. She's allowed, but
Yeah,
we have to say what it is. So I think that she had a tiny crush on him even before the games. But like to set the scene, as we know, Katniss is literally in like extreme poverty. Extreme poverty. Every moment of her spare time is spent hunting, trapping, gathering, going trading her stuff for money, for lard, for other stuff. Like she doesn't have time to be considering romance.
yeah,
And she also has, like I said, she's also emotionally stunted. Like for example, Madge, who doesn't exist in the movies, which is extremely, extremely disappointing, especially because in the new book, there's even more lore that links her in, and I don't know how they're gonna handle that. But anyway, Madge is the person that gives her the Mockingjay pin.
mm,
In Katniss's head, she like talks about how she and Madge don't really fit in with a lot of the other people. And so because of that, they end up doing things together a lot, like partnering up for sports, sharing a lunch table. And not until Madge comes to visit her right before she goes to the games does Katniss realize that Madge is her friend. Like she never refers to her. I believe the quote is like, "And I look after her, thinking maybe Madge was my friend after all." And it's like, you just said you partner up for sports every time. You sit together at lunch. You do like,
yeah.
yeah, you're
Obviously, your
friends.
friends.
You're friends. But she just like assumes that everyone hates her and like has like no ties to anyone. It's like,
Yeah,
that's your friend.
that's
It's
sad.
Madge literally gives her the pin, first of all, which again was made of gold, so like just on a baseline level was very valuable. And hugs her and kisses her on the cheek. And that's what it takes for Katniss to be like, we were friends. When she wins the first game, she returns home and has a lot of free time. So she spends a lot more time with Madge at her house, and Madge really likes to come over to Katniss's house. When she gets back, they become like best friends. Like they have dinner at each other's houses and everything. So it's like, you guys were good friends before this.
Yeah,
You're just now, like, it took you this long to realize that this is literally your best friend, Madge.
damn.
So, just going off of that and how Katniss is so oblivious, let's now move into more talking about her crush on Peeta. First of all, we obviously know how she first became aware of Peeta, which is when he burned bread on purpose, threw it to her so that she wouldn't starve to death. Katniss is too embarrassed to like owe a stranger so much, and she doesn't know how to thank him. Right after the bread incident, she looks up and sees him. His face is swollen and bruised from his mom, and he drops his eyes, and so does she. And then after that, she continues to be like, here, I put the exact quote. To this day, I can never shake the connection between this boy, Peeta Malark, and the bread that gave me hope, and the dandelion that reminded me that I was not doomed. And more than once, I have turned into the school hallway and caught his eyes trained on me, only to quickly flit away. Like, okay, so you're looking at him all the time and seeing him look at you all the time, is what you're saying. You are looking to find him and then finding him looking at you. You're looking at
Oh
him.
my
Why are you looking
God.
at him so much? That's how I feel, at least.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the line makes it in the movie where he says it's weird. She has no idea the effect that she can have on people, and Katniss like doesn't know what he means, and it makes her mad. But then she reflects and she's like, "It's weird how much he's noticed me, like the attention he's paid to my hunting, and apparently I have not been as oblivious to him as I imagine either." Because when they're training and she's trying to hype up Peta and say the things that he does, she's like, he's like so strong. He can throw 100-pound bags of flour around. I've seen him do it in the bakery all the time. And also, he was second place in the wrestling competition last year.
Literally
And it's
bragging
like,
about him.
literally, why do you know that? If you don't have a crush on this guy, like, why do you're like, he's so
Yeah,
strong. He won the wrestling competition. Like,
literally.
Katniss, she had a crush on him. And then in the second book, when she's still when they're fake engaged, but she's still unable to actually DTR with Peta in real life, she gets hurt climbing over the fence to get back into 12 when they re-electrify it. And so for several days, her foot is hurt and Peta has to carry her up and down the stairs every single night and then sits with her until she falls asleep. And they also decide to fill up all of the time that she's on bed rest by working on her family's book, you know, the one that
Mm.
had her dad's like notes. Well, first it was her mom's because her mom was an apothecary in the richer part of town. And it had like all of those kind of herbs. And then her dad updated it with more pictures of like edible plants. And then Katniss has been trying to add her own new knowledge too, but she can't draw. So Peta's helping her because Peta can paint. And I have this excerpt from the book, and you can tell me if this sounds like a girl who has a crush on him or not. I like to watch his hands as he works, making a blank page bloom with strokes of ink, adding touches of color to our previously black and yellow book. His face takes on a special look when he concentrates. His usual easy expression is replaced by something more intense and removed that suggests the entire world locked away inside of him. I've seen splashes of this before, in the arena or when he speaks to a crowd, or that time that he shoved the peacekeepers' guns away from me in District 11. I don't know quite what to make of it. I also become fixated on his eyelashes, which ordinarily you wouldn't notice because they're so blonde. But up close, in the sunlight slanting in from the window, they're a light golden color and so long I don't see how they keep from getting all tangled up when he blinks.
Wow.
Why are you obsessed with his eyelashes?
She loves him.
Like I don't think that you look at a man's eyelashes and you're like,
Yeah.
unless you're in love with him. So whatever. I had to just get that off my chest. There's also more that we'll get into here in the Prim file, but we'll get to that later. It might not have been as cut and dry in this story, but I still think all that to say I can cut the Team Gale's girls like a little bit more slack because I will say that, you know, maybe it wasn't as predictable in this. Next,
Yeah.
of course, we have the much beaten dead horse on our channel, Bonrad. And I don't think we have to really get into this too much. I don't see how you could have ever thought it was Jeremiah. Let's remember that back when the pilot first came out, when Lover was like probably the most like good romantic song, it had no negative thoughts attached to it at all because she
Yeah.
was still actively with Joe. In episode 1, Conrad enters to Lover. Like, it was never going to be anyone except Conrad. I'm
There's
sorry.
so many signs.
And I also think that just like narratively, there's 3 seasons, and so whoever she ends up with in season 2, you can pretty much guarantee it's gonna switch back. Like that just
True,
narratively, I
yeah.
don't see how you could think that like, and now she's just gonna stay with Jeremiah, and everything's gonna end, and they're gonna get married. Like that's
Yeah.
crazy. That's crazy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The jellyfish, like the ship was sunk far
It
before.
was.
Like it was sunk from day one.
It didn't even make it out of the harbor, bro.
No, no, dead on arrival. Okay, I was thinking about making a Titan sub joke, but then I couldn't think of one fast enough. Okay, next slide is the last time that I'm going to be objective at all. And also, I just want to acknowledge that literally face cards never decline. I know that's a random picture of Belly, but I feel like the face card is crazy
She looks
in
like
that
Kim
one.
Kardashian.
She looks so good. Okay, so we're going to chat about what we think each girl wanted, and these are the 3 questions that I kind of picked for my parameters, and that's what did the girl want? Was she forced to change to be with her partner? And if they were able to freely make the choice to be with their partner. Those are the things that I thought fit best for how to decide who is scientifically right for each
Yeah.
person. So first we have Bella, and like we already mentioned, literally all Bella wanted in her whole life was Edward.
Yeah.
She literally wanted to have sex with him so badly that she did not care if she died from it. She did not care. And she was also obsessed with being immortal. She did not want to be older than Edward. And
Yeah, she wanted to
so,
be a vampire.
yeah, like, and that's, she wanted it really, really, really bad. And like, we could get into like toxicity and like codependence, blah, 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 but that's not what we're talking about. Bella
No,
wanted Edward and Bella wanted to be a vampire.
I
So,
think it
like,
was a free will choice.
yeah, case closed. You know what I mean? I mean, you can't argue because her choice is made freely, but it does suck because it is clear in the fourth book that she would have stayed human longer, if she wouldn't have gotten pregnant with the spawn because she,
Yeah, but still, like, I don't know.
well, what I was gonna say is that it's still freely though, in my opinion, because I'm pro-choice and she was choosing to keep that baby.
True, she loved the
And
baby.
yeah, she didn't care. She also knew that like they were worried and very concerned that they weren't going to be able to turn her in time and she would die before they had the chance. And she was like, so like I have to say the choice was made freely. Like I think it's crazy and it's not what I would have done, but she wanted to put the baby's life above hers and that's her right. It's her
Yeah,
body and her life. She's allowed to do that even if I think
her.
that it's absolutely insane, but it's her right. And then technically, obviously, she had to change to be with Edward, but that was also what she literally wanted. Like she didn't want to be human anymore.
Yeah.
And I also think that she wanted that, but Edward didn't. Edward, first of all, wanted her to abort that baby. He did not want that baby. And he wanted her to stay human for as many years as possible before
Yeah.
turning her. So I think that this is, like, obviously Team Edward wins. Like, it was always going to be the most fulfilling and correct choice. Like
Yeah, for
I
her.
just don't see, yeah, I just don't see how you like, and if you want to rewrite it and do like fanfics because you just like Jacob Moore, that is totally fine. But like we're just talking about implicit details in the text. No,
Hmm.
nothing outside of that. And stuff that I've speculated on based on that text, but like I'm not just changing, you know.
Yeah.
So with Katniss, it's trickier because I think she wanted like stability and for her loved ones to be safe and to not have to deal with all of the rebellion stuff. So like I think in different timelines, either of the boys may have been able to fulfill her, but because of the way that things did happen, Peeta became the only
Yeah.
choice. You know what I mean?
I mean, they went
Gale,
through all that shit together. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
how could you not be with him after that?
Exactly. And Gail also was, I think, always going to be pushy and jealous, and I think that she knew that. And I also think that I meant to look this up to make sure I'm not misspeaking. So, but I'm pretty sure that I know that Gail goes to District 2 at the end. He lives in District 2 at the end of the books. And I want to say that he's working with like military stuff. Like he's still sort of not involved in the war because there's not a war, you know what I mean? But he's still like doing that kind of thing. And I just feel like for Katniss post-war, she didn't want to be anywhere close to the
Yeah.
gun. Like she wanted to be in 12 in her house, like not,
No,
you know.
where near warnedness.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that she chose Peeta freely, personally. You know, they were forced together in a lot of ways, but she was never able to like actually abandon him, even if she like wanted to. Like I think that it was really clear. And their final relationship evolved super, super like slowly. I mean, we don't know obviously how long until they're like having sex and stuff. They don't tell us, but we do know that they don't have kids for 15 years after the
Damn.
books. So like they definitely went very slow. I think that her choice was very free by that metric, you know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
So yeah, cuz Katniss really didn't want to be the Mockingjay. Like I don't she wanted to be far away from that, and ironically even though Peeta was in it so much with her, it's like I don't know. I just don't think she could have ever been with Gale because it just would have been too complicated. Of course, it's really hard to think about this out of context without having gotten to the Prim files, of course. So, yeah. Anyway, I think that all that to say basically, I think that Katniss kind of had a similar arc to Belly in a way, where she had to kind of transform back into her old self. Like she had to change so much because she wasn't interested in leading a rebellion. It was thrust upon her and she had to do it because it was like the right thing to do sort of, but it was never that was never what she was interested in. She really just
Yeah.
wanted to have her family be safe, and that she was very single-minded with it, you know, like even before Mockingjay, you know, she just wanted to run away with her family and keep them safe. Like she just couldn't be, and I don't mean this in a bad way, she couldn't be bothered with the greater good of the country because she wanted to make sure that her family was safe above all,
Mm.
and that mattered more to her, and that makes sense to me.
I mean, yeah, that's how everyone is, or most
Yeah.
people.
So I think that, you know, she had to change to be the Mockingjay, and then in order to go back home and heal, she had to change back sort of into her true normal before version self.
Yeah,
And obviously Belly falls into this too. In order to be with Conrad, she had to get away and build her own foundation for herself. Or I don't think that they could have had like a stable relationship. And with that being said, it was obviously done freely. Like she was in another country, she could have turned him down. She could have like there's a lot of things she could have done. It wasn't like forced or anything at all.
yeah,
And I also like tried to look at it from each perspective of what would have given her the most of her wants. And I kind of decided that I think that Belly's biggest want is to keep the magic of the beach house alive, like it was when Susanna was alive. And maybe that's controversial, but I think that choosing Conrad actually is the better option for that, because I think that with her wanting to keep the magic and have it to still feel similarly to how it was when Susanna was still alive. Everyone had to be there, and if she married Jeremiah, Conrad would never have been able to come and be in the house with them all
true.
together. And versus Jeremiah's going to get over it, and now everyone can be back in the beach house together, and it'll
That
be,
that
you
makes
know.
sense. That's good.
So
Yeah,
I do think that
that definitely plays a part in her decision making.
yeah, because now everything will be because I think that deep like inside of her, that's one of her like biggest wants, and like just I don't know. That's obviously there's others, but that's like what I think is the primary one. Also, obviously, she literally wished for Conrad on her birthday every year, so like there's that.
I wonder what Belly wished for on the 5 years she was with Jeremiah.
I know, right? She's like, I hope for Jeremiah to still be somewhat satiating my intense horniness for his brother.
Ew.
What do you wish for? Maybe she just didn't wish for anything. She
She
just blew out her
probably,
candles.
she probably like still thought of it though.
She definitely thought, like, if she didn't necessarily wish it, she definitely was like, because if you do it every single year of your life for like 16, 17 years, you're all of a sudden gonna just like never. Okay, last segment, and this is obviously the best part because this is where we're going to talk about how much we hate the other people and be completely unobjective and mean and crazy. This is the roast. That's Jacob. My Photoshop skills or my Canva
I
skills
love
are
it.
really good.
Jacob has a soft spot in my heart though.
Well, that's fine. Wait.
Because
So,
I
but you've
feel,
never you did read no, you read all the Twilight books.
yeah, lots of times. And I
Okay.
recently watched the movies. Okay, I know he does fucked up shit.
He's better than Jeremiah.
Yeah, like I don't have any soft spot for Jeremiah, but I do for Jacob, just because Bella was
Yeah.
so mean to him
Yeah, she
and led
was.
him on.
Yeah,
And he
but
also stupid, but if it were me, I would just pick both of them.
well, that's the best option, but we weren't that open yet. Okay.
Well, I think I am. I was. I didn't want to let Jacob
I
go.
mean the mainstream. Well, don't worry, she doesn't have to let him go. He's marrying her baby.
Oh
You
no, I
forgot.
forgot about that part.
Okay,
Okay,
so yeah, first thing that he did that I think is fucked up is that he purposely let Edward think that Bella was dead when he called, which
yeah,
then set off that
yeah.
whole sequence of events. Like, you know how down bad she is for this man. You have to hand her the phone. Like, you have to. And
What?
I
Yeah, that.
understand why he
Yeah.
didn't want to, but you're evil. You are. And
Okay,
of
he
course,
was selfish in that moment. Yeah.
yeah. And then also, he did literally assault her. And when I
Wait,
read,
what? Wait, when did he assault her?
okay,
Like
so
sexually?
well, okay, when she is back with Edward in Eclipse, he kisses her anyway, even though he knows that she does not want
Uh,
to kiss him. And when I read this when I was younger, it didn't really feel that weird to me, but reading it as an adult, I don't know if I'm just being like too woke. It kind of disgusted me.
yeah.
I cut up an excerpt here for me to read to you so you can hear all of the parts that made me feel extra concerning. It is a little bit long, and I put random cuts, but I promise Team Jacob girls, I really didn't put any cuts that make him look like I didn't make it to where he looks worse. I just cut out stuff that wasn't like important for the main idea. So, suddenly, he was serious. He took my chin in his hand, holding it firmly so I couldn't look away from his gaze. Until your heart stops beating, Bella, he said, I'll be here, fighting. Don't forget you have options. I don't want options, I disagreed, trying to yank my chin free, unsuccessfully. He still had my chin, his fingers holding too tight until it hurt, and I saw the resolve form abruptly in his eyes. No, I started to object, but it was too late. His lips crushed mine, stopping my protest. He kissed me angrily, roughly, his other hand gripping tight around the back of my neck, making escape impossible. I shoved against his chest with all of my strength, but he did not seem to notice. His mouth was soft despite his anger, his lips molding to mine in a warm, unfamiliar way. I grabbed at his face, trying to push it away, failing again. He seemed to notice this time, though, and it aggravated him. His lips forced mine open, and I could feel his hot breath in my mouth. Acting on instinct, I let my hands drop to my side and shut down. I opened my eyes and didn't fight, didn't feel, just waited for him to stop. It worked. The anger seemed to evaporate, and he pulled back to look at me. He pressed his lips softly to mine again, once, twice, a third time. I pretended that I was a statue and waited. Finally, he let go of my face and leaned away.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
It's pretty disturbing. Like, it's pretty disturbing. And then she punches him in the face, as you know, and he just thinks that it's funny. And so does her dad, which Charlie in the books was so much worse. He was so slay in the movies. Yeah, it's really just about how he doesn't take it seriously at all. She keeps saying, like, he says that had to be better than kissing a rock, and she's like, no, it wasn't. And
An unconsensual kiss.
yes, and that bothers him. And then he perks up. You're just mad. I don't have any experience with this kind of thing, but I thought it was pretty incredible myself.
Ew, that was
And
really gross.
And then he says, you're going to think about it tonight. When he thinks that you're asleep, you'll be thinking about your options. You'll be thinking about how
I take back everything I said.
it's
I'm
really,
sick. I
it's
feel
really
sick.
bad. It's really bad, really bad. And
I'm
she says, exact quote, if I think about you tonight, it will be because I'm having a nightmare. And then he says, you kissed me back. And Bella's like, no, I didn't. And he says, I think I can tell the difference. And she says, that was not kissing back. That was trying to get you
Ew,
the hell off of me, you idiot.
what
He
a
then
freak.
laughs and says, touchy, almost overly defensive, I would say.
Yeah, he liked it when she was trying to.
He literally assaulted her and it put him in a good mood.
Okay, I hate him.
I'm sorry, just for me, she verbally made it clear that she was not interested. She physically made it clear that she was not interested. Like, it's horrifying.
Yeah.
And then what does Edward, the one that everyone says is too controlling and so toxic, when that happens and he finds out that Jacob kissed her, he says, and if you ever kiss her again, I will break your jaw for her. What if she wants me to? Jacob drawled, arrogant. Ha, I snorted. If that's what she wants, then I won't object, Edward shrugged, untroubled. You might want to wait for her to say it, rather than trust your interpretation of body language. But it's your face. King of consent. King of consent. I
Yeah,
won't.
he's way more respectful.
And then, later in Eclipse, in the same book, because of Edward saying this, Jacob decides that instead of assaulting Bella, because he already tried that, he will just find a way to manipulate her into asking him to kiss her. So, just before the newborn war, when Bella doesn't want him to go and fight because she doesn't want him to get hurt or die, he's like crashing out because he found out about her engagement to Edward. And he basically says, well, since you're not going to be with him, since you're engaged to Edward, then I'm going to just go and get myself killed on purpose. And Bella's like, please don't do that. Please don't get yourself killed on purpose. I don't want you to die. And he's like, well, I'm going to, unless you kiss me. And she's like,
Yeah.
no, just stay. And he's like, no, please, you have to, or I'm going to go die. And so she finally asks him, and he does. And then, after all of that, he goes into the fight anyway.
Yes. Yeah.
What? And then, at her wedding, her gift from Edward is that Jacob is there. And Jacob and Bella are having a good time and dancing together when she ends up mentioning that she's going to be human on her honeymoon, aka while she's getting boned. And Jacob freaks out. He insults her and grabs her, and then members of the pack have to come in and yank him away
Oh, right.
to get him away so that he doesn't change too close to Bella and kill her
He
or
does
hurt
get
her.
angry a lot.
Like, I'm not
But
saying
that's
that.
a symptom of the wolf thing, isn't it? The anger.
Yeah, but like,
Yeah, it's still bad. It's still bad.
and then when Bella's giving birth, this is supposed to be the love of his life, the girl that he loves more than anything. He watches her literally die. Her heart stops. So the first thing he's like, okay, oh my God, the love of my life just died. You know what? Perfect timing. I'm gonna go downstairs and murder the baby that she died for. She literally gave her life so that her child could live, and that's the love of my life. But I'm gonna go downstairs and kill this baby. Thankfully,
Yeah.
of course, though, he doesn't kill the baby because he's in love with the baby. So it all worked out perfectly in
Yay,
the end.
perfect. Oh my fucking god.
I know that in the narrative, imprinting isn't like gross and it's like a thing,
I
and
don't like it.
it's still just not great. Yeah, it's just my sister was actually Team Jacob when she was watching the movies, all the way until he imprinted on.
Really?
Yes, I have a clip. Maybe I can put the clip in here. She just like goes like this. And just shakes her face, and my mom goes, "What?" And and she said, "Who's that?" And it was like the older version. I'm like, "That's that." She's like, "He's in love with her." I'm like, and then she said, "Well, he's only like what, like 15, 16, right?" And I'm like,
It's a
"Yeah,
baby.
the age gap is totally fine." Uh, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Jacob is trash. He had a good run. He had a really solid run.
Yeah.
He could not handle the rejection.
Sure.
When Edward came back, he couldn't handle it. He could not deal with the rejection.
Yeah.
And he became
He
evil.
hated being the loser.
I mean, I get it, but like this is not the way to do it. It really is.
And you're right. That does show, like, did you ever really love her at all? Because if you did, then you would want her to be happy. And that's what Edward would have done if she chose Jacob.
And Edward did say that. Of course, he usually also said, to be fair, he's like, well, if I couldn't be around Bella, I would just get myself killed because I would rather die. However, I'm fine with dying if Bella would be happier with Jacob. Like, I'll
Yeah.
die. Like, honestly, Edward was ready. He was always down to die. Like, he's like,
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of over it, so if I can't have Bella, I will kill myself. However, I don't mean that manipulatively. Like, I'm glad for you. Like, I would be happy if you
Yeah.
went to be with Jacob. I'll just die. And I mean, that's fine.
I mean, he's been living forever, so
Yeah.
it's his right.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I hate that man. I don't like Jacob. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that
okay.
you had to go through that. That you had to like him for a second at the beginning and now.
It's alright.
Oh, next.
The
We have-
Prim Files.
Yes. Yes, we're getting to Gale. So, first, Gale is genuinely mad at Katniss when she gets back from the games. Like, oh yay, you didn't die. Why the fuck were you kissing on that dude? Like that's
What an
basically
asshole.
that's
I hate him.
basically what he did. And he's mean and cold to her. And then she says, like, it was just pretending. We had to do it so he gets sponsors and everything. And he says, it didn't look pretend to me.
Fuck you. I fucking. Oh my god.
So she's constantly saying, like, I am not trying to date either of you. I don't know if you remember, but like 3 months ago, I was actually fighting for my life and pretty sure that I was going to die. And then I murdered people. And then the
Literally.
president, and then I found out that everyone's mad at me because I have the berries and everyone thinks that I'm causing a rebellion and my family's gonna get exploded or something. And he's like, but which one? Okay, but on a scale of 1 to 10, which one of us is better? It's me, right? Like he like cannot stop pestering her about it.
He's the worst.
He's always bringing it up. Meanwhile, we have Peta, who was literally like, obviously he was upset a lot of the times that, you know, he was in love with her, but he was always just like, whatever, Katniss, like, I'll give you space. Like, honestly, just following her around like a little puppy waiting for her to be ready.
Yeah.
And he was committed. So, yeah, and also let's remember that Gale and Peta are two of the most important people in her life. So not only is he like hey, I know you're really traumatized, but can you please pick which one of us is your boyfriend? But also, it's like pick between like two of the most important people to you in the world at this point in your life.
Literally.
Also, like while you're absolutely horrifically traumatized from being in the Hunger Games, like glad I didn't. At this point, I wish that I died in the Hunger Games and didn't come back.
After having to volunteer for her
Her
sister, by
sister.
the way. Like, people forget that too. It's like,
Yes, yes,
she had to do it by choice.
yes. But can you just like tell me if you like me more, Katniss? You like me more, right? Because you have not kissed me very many times, and you kissed him so many times in the Hunger Games.
That's so Jeremiah coded.
It literally is. They're twins. They're just alike.
They'd be best friends. Maybe Jeremiah would have a crush on him because he's bi.
My new OTP.
Wait.
I'm gonna make a TikTok edit ASAP. So, and then, I can't remember if this. I think it's. I have a hard time remembering what happened in the books versus movies for Hunger Games because the audiobooks are read by this woman that sounds a lot like It's not Jennifer Lawrence, but it sounds a lot like her. And so I
Yeah.
swear sometimes I remember scenes like I literally can see them in the movie, but they just didn't happen. Like I'm just making it up. So I don't remember. But basically, right before Gale gets whipped is when Katniss is like, let's just run away as soon as we can. We're going to get everyone. And he's like, hell yes, she's going to run away. It's going to be great. And then she's like, of course. And then I'll get PETA. And he's like, PETA's coming. And then he starts being mean again. And even like implies like, how do you know that you can trust him? The Hunger Games?
Hello?
That's how I think that I can trust him. He gets so mad even after he sees literally, and I know like obviously stuff is edited so he didn't see like everything exactly that happened, but like he saw what she went through with
Yeah.
PETA and he's like, you're gonna bring him? Yes, obviously. He's in trouble too. Are you stupid? He
I
really
hate.
thought that she was like, we're gonna just run away together, me and you and our families, and we'll just leave PETA to get exploded, like, and tortured or whatever. This was before the Quarter Quell announcement. And then,
Wow.
yes. And then also, he also does kiss her without her consent, but the scene's way less yucky, so
Yeah.
it's not as bad as Jacob's at least. Although, to add insult to injury, this isn't in the book, President Snow only says, I know about the kiss, by the way. So it like adds to the blackmail that he has against Katniss because Gale kissed her in the woods. But in the movie, you'll recall that he literally had the little video come up. So like Gale, by you assaulting her, you also literally gave the Capitol more stuff to blackmail her with. Thanks. Thanks.
Great work.
Appreciate it. So when Katniss is rescued from the clock arena and PETA is not, he's instead picked up by the Capitol, Gale makes literally no attempt at all to like try to comfort Katniss through this time. Like, maybe we literally don't know if PETA's dead or alive. Why is she so bummed about this? Like, come on, let's hang out,
Oh my God.
Like, and also because again, at first Katniss is just telling herself he's probably dead, and it'll be better if he's dead, and so he's probably dead. And so then when the first interview comes on with PETA, she is like, he's alive, but then obviously he starts saying like capital stuff that they're
Yeah.
like, like capital propaganda, and everyone's like, boo, you suck. And Katniss is like, guys, he literally, like, what do you expect him to do? And when she says that to Gale, Gale literally says, I wouldn't do that even if they had a gun to my head. PETA's a coward.
They're literally drugging him.
PETA's a coward. A coward. Can
He
you
literally did the Hunger Games.
twice? How many Hunger
Twice.
Games have you gone to, Gale?
0.
Right. A coward. Calls him a fucking coward. And this does piss Katniss off, and I really think it shows how little remorse Gale has, like, for anyone. Also, remember, as the interviews go on, he gets more and more, like, deteriorated. And
Yeah.
still, Gale's just like, SMH. Katniss is like, they're gonna kill him. Gale's like, do you have a crush on me or not? This was not in the movies at all, so this might be kind of new for you. And I included some excerpts so I can read exact words. When Katniss agrees to be the Mockingjay, she goes down with Plutarch and Gale to a lower level of District 13 and finds that her prep team that got her ready for her Hunger Games had been kidnapped. But so again, her prep team are Capitol airheads. They're so indoctrinated into like all of this. They have no understanding of the horrible condition that district people live in. They've been raised their whole lives watching the games as entertainment. Like, they're fully on the Kool-Aid. I'm not saying they're good people, but they're not malicious. They're just like airheaded capital socialite type of, trying to climb the
Hmm.
social ladder, be involved in the Hunger Games. So when they're kidnapped and brought to District 13, it's a very, very big, change of pace for them. It's very different. Their meals are strictly monitored. Everything's monitored. So one of them steals an extra piece of bread from the kitchen, and then they are all taken to the dungeons and tortured.
Oh my fucking god.
Gale sits next to me and puts an arm around my shoulder. She'll fix them up. I give a nod, wondering if he's thinking about his own brutal flogging back in 12. Because again, remember, he literally was tortured because he killed a turkey. Okay? He was whipped until he passed out. He says, Katniss, why do you care so much about your prep team? I open my eyes to see if he's joking, but he's frowning down at the rabbit he's skinning. Why shouldn't I? Let's see. Because they spent the last year prettying you up for slaughter, he suggests? It's more complicated than that. I know them. They're not evil or cruel. They're not even smart. Hurting them, it's like hurting children. They don't see. They don't know. I get knotted up in my words. They don't know what, Katniss, he says, that tributes, who are the actual children involved here, not your trio of freaks, are forced to fight to the death, that you're going into that arena for people's amusement? Was that a big secret in the capital? No, but they don't view it the way we do, I say. They're raised on it, and are you actually defending them? He slips the skin from the rabbit in one quick move. That stings, because in fact I am, and it's ridiculous. I struggle to find a logical position. I guess I'm defending anyone who's treated like that for taking a slice of bread. Maybe it reminds me too much of what happened to you over a turkey. Still, he's right. It does seem strange, my level of concern over the prep team. I should hate them and want to see them strung up, but they're so clueless, and they belong to Cinna, and he was on my side. Once we're inside the gate, I think of something else. During the quarter quell, Octavia and Flavius had to quit because they couldn't stop crying over me going back in, and Vinya could barely even say goodbye. I'll try to keep that in mind as they remake you, Gale says. Do you not find that evil? I know that, like, he's
That is
right. They
evil.
are from the capital, but they were literally plucked from their homes where they were safe, kidnapped and brought here so they could be Katniss's prep team, and then tortured over something tiny, and you're like, but they're capital. Like,
No empathy.
it's, and it reminds me so much of, like, how a lot of people are in present day.
I was thinking that.
Like, you've lost touch with the human side of you, and you're seeing things too black and white because it really doesn't matter. No human deserves to be treated like that over a very small infraction.
Over
Like, your
trying to
whole,
feed themselves.
yes, they're hungry. And like, again, they grew up in the capital. They've never been hungry before. They've always had food in the pantry.
Yeah.
Obviously, the biggest part of this is the prim file, as we all should know. At the tail end of the war, the capital announces that they're taking in refugees at the president's mansion. This includes basically creating a barrier of children all around the mansion to keep the rebels from breaching it. It's very chaotic, and rebels and peacemakers alike are shooting, and the kids are scared. But then thankfully a capital hovercraft comes and drops down parachutes like in the games. So the kids are excited, and they're reaching for them, and then they blow up. And there's pieces of little kids all over the place. And so then the medics from District 13 run in to try to help them. And Katniss sees Prim, who is only 13 years old, helping a little girl. And she has just enough time to catch Katniss's gaze before she is also exploded. And the crazy thing is that we've seen the idea for that trap before in something that Gale invented.
Yep.
The whole reason Katniss went into her games was literally to protect Prim. Every single thing that she's done has been to protect Prim. And now she is exploded.
By Gale.
Not to mention that Katniss is also severely burned, so she has, like, horrific burns all over her body, too. And she falls into such a deep depression that the doctors are like, we don't know why she isn't talking. She should be able to talk, but she's just like a mental AVOC. She didn't speak, like, for months. So she's in the hospital also for a long time for those extensive burns, and Gale does not go to see her, ever. If you're wondering if Peeta went to see her, he didn't, but that was because he was actually there during the bombing too, and also lit on fire. So he's also in the hospital. Gale does not come to see her, see how she is. In fact, the next time that she sees him after Prim died, it's the morning of Snow's execution when he brings her bow and arrow to do it with. And I do have another excerpt, but this one's short, I promise. I just want to read this part to you, which is the first thing that he says to her after knowing that her sister got blown up. We stand there, face to face, not meeting each other's eyes. You didn't come to see me in the hospital. He doesn't answer, so I finally just say it. Was it your bomb? I don't know. Neither does Beatty, he says. Does it matter? You'll always be thinking about it. He waits for me to deny it. I want to deny it, but it's true. Even now I can see the flash that ignites her, feel the heat of the flames, and I will never be able to separate that moment from Gale. My silence is my answer. That was the one thing I had going for me, taking care of your family, he says. Shoot straight, okay? He touches my cheek and leaves. Do you notice how he didn't even say, I'm so sorry that Prim died?
No, like, he is just the worst character of all time.
As soon as, when that happened and he realized, like, oh, yeah, since I could have made the bombs or had the idea for the bombs that killed her sister, she's definitely never gonna get with me, so now, like, I just literally don't care.
Yeah, literally.
Like,
Literally. Completely checked out.
does it matter? Was it your bomb? Does it matter?
How could anyone ever be Team Gale after
Does it
that?
matter? It's crazy.
Like, Jesus Christ.
Honestly, the least you could do is be like, don't say, does it matter? You'll, like, I don't know. Neither does Beatty. Like, but however, I wish that I've been asking everyone. I've been trying to find out. I'm so sorry. I can't believe that you know this has made me also have a change in heart. I'm not going to create traps like this anymore that prey on the emotions of like the prey. Like, I
Yeah,
don't know.
literally.
He doesn't like. He's just flippant. Like, well, now that I blew up your sister, you're never going to like me better. So whatever. It's also the same reaction when PETA comes back and he's been hijacked and he's obviously like in horrific shape. And Katniss is like, what are you thinking? And Gale's like, something super selfish. And she's like, tell me. And he's like, well, you're never going to pick me as long as he's this messed up, basically is
Oh
what he
my
says.
fucking God.
And it's like, cool. Yeah, let's make PETA being tortured about you. Gale, I
Literally,
bet this
what
is
a-
so hard
oh my
on you
God.
that PETA got tortured in the Capitol and now thinks he hates me and tried to kill me. And in the book, I wish maybe I should just force you to read the books. This podcast episode is me reading you the Hunger Games. There's a really sweet part where when she's walking to PETA when he gets back, because they don't know that he's been hijacked, of course, and she's thinking like, we'll embrace. I wonder if they'll be kissing. Oh, I'm sure they'll be kissing. It's PETA after all. I wonder, like, and she's like thinking about how he's probably gonna kiss her and how long will he kiss.
Oh my
And
God.
when in Catching Fire, they kiss and she actually like starts to basically feel horny for him practically, but emotionally horny for him. And she's like, I wonder if it'll feel like that kiss, if it'll, and
Yeah.
then she gets in there and strangles her. And then
It's so
and then
sad.
Gale is like, you're never gonna pick me now, are you? Like,
Oh my
you're
God.
joking. You're joking. And then just for fun, I also put the first interaction that she has with PETA after Prim dies, which is when she wakes up and hears a shovel scraping and runs around the corner to her house and sees PETA, who is digging a hole to bury some primrose bushes. He's planting primrose bushes all around her house. He says, I went to the woods this morning and I dug these up for her. I thought we could plant them along the side of the house. So we have Gale, who says, does it even matter if it's my bomb? You're never going to stop thinking about it. And then we have PETA, who says, this morning I woke up, also I have burn scars all over my body, and I was also in the hospital, and I just now got back here because I had to also see my therapist for a long time to make sure that I wasn't going to go crazy and start killing people like I was doing for a minute there. Anyway, I woke up early this morning, went down to the woods, and dug up these plants and started planting them in your garden so we could honor your sister. And I mean, I guess technically he doesn't say I'm so sorry about Prim either, but
Yeah, one can assume he probably
one
did.
is better than the other. I hate this man so bad. Obviously, the next one is Jeremiah, and I just felt like it's so obvious. Like, there's
Yeah.
not like a lot of deep stuff to go into. He's so manipulative. He was always manipulative from the very first time, in my opinion. He was always manipulative. He cheated on her. Snotty tissues, majored in virology. I hate him. I hate him. We could
Has poor judgment.
bachelor party dance.
Just
Didn't know he wasn't graduating.
horrible on every front.
Lets his dad step all over him.
The list goes on.
I mean, there's not really much more to say here. But last slide. In conclusion, I can appreciate, an underdog situation, but not with any of these men. And I
No,
also still don't really understand. I was trying to see your perspective and I can't, but that's okay. We don't have to agree on everything. And also, Team PETA is definitely the most solid ship. That man has never done anything wrong. He and Conrad have a little in common as far as all PETA gets is suffering,
true,
except
true.
except much worse than
Yeah,
Conrad.
literally tortured
Yeah.
physically.
Yeah. Yeah, and unfortunately, as a negative on Team Conrad, I do have to say PETA was suffering much more and he treated Katniss much nicer.
True.
Just saying. He was always emotionally available for her.
Very true.
Yeah, so ultimately, did I answer my question? No, I still don't. This is 2 episodes in a row. Does Maddie understand sororities? No. Do I understand why people were on the other team after doing research and trying to be objective? Not really.
I truly think it's just because they think they're hotter.
I think that that has to be the biggest
And
thing.
then like they get too deep into it and then when they
They
do something
can't.
horrible they can't admit
Yeah.
they're wrong, which is another
Yeah.
parallel to the real world.
Yeah, so real. And they always want to say like because Team Jacob people like when the assault or like when they're like, well, she didn't have to go and make him do all that. And I'm like, I guys, she's the writer. He only exists inside of her brain. So if she said that
Yep.
he did this, then he did this. Like I really don't know what to tell you. I understand that you're like that was my bestie and now he's doing bad things, but that's when we have to change our
And yes,
not
open our minds.
yes, not say she shouldn't have written that. Okay, so now you're just changing the plot. You just want
You
the plot
righted
to be
them.
different. Yeah, it's literally. So, yeah, I still don't get it. Team PETA is the most non toxic ship ever. I don't know if you're Team Gale in 2025.
You have issues. He
Like,
literally murdered a child. Well, a lot of.
comment below because I, I would love to hear. I would love to hear. I don't understand. I would love to hear a perspective, but I don't. I mean, blew up your sister. I guess if you're a Team Gale fan for movies only, in the movies, I do think he cries when he's having that conversation with Katniss, so it's a little more emotional. In the book, at least the way I read it, he's basically like, hey, she's like, so was it
Yeah.
your bomb? And he's like, great, of course you're bringing this up. And he's just not, I don't know. I guess that's also me reading into it, but I don't see how you can be Team Gale. If you're just, I feel like Team Jacob people are mostly just Team Jacob for the vibes, and I can respect that, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't really get it, but it's not my business. Unfortunately, I do have to say that if you're Team Gale or Team Jeremiah,
I don't have respect for you.
I don't understand you, and we probably do have beef.
Yeah.
Because I really just don't understand how you rationalize anything that those men did in the later half of their narrative arcs.
For real.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
that that's my presentation. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that I was able
Yes.
to make this have some sort of narrative thread that made sense and felt mildly educational. And if not, at least at the end we got to make fun of these boys.
Yeah. For real.
And
Thank you for watching.
see you Friday.